In the bustling intergalactic marketplace of Zorith 9, where species from across the cosmos traded everything from rare minerals to sentient beings, an Earthling named Elias Carter stood out like a sore thumb. He wasn't a seasoned trader or a wealthy magnate. He was just a curious explorer with a modest inheritance burning a hole in his pocket. Elias had always been fascinated by the stories of warrior cultures, and when he heard whispers of a legendary Amazon warrior being auctioned off, he couldn't resist. The auction hall was a chaotic symphony of alien languages, flashing holograms, and the occasional growl of a disgruntled bidder. Elias pushed his way through the crowd, his heart pounding as he caught sight of the warrior in question. She was tall, her muscular frame adorned with intricate tattoos that seemed to glow faintly under the harsh lights. Her eyes, a piercing shade of gold, scanned the room with a mixture of defiance and resignation. She was chained, her wrists bound by energy cuffs that hummed ominously. The auctioneer, a slimy-looking Zorathian with too many tentacles, began the bidding. "Behold the last of the Valkyrian Amazons, a fierce warrior, trained from birth in the art of combat. She's worth her weight in credits, I assure you." Elias felt a pang of guilt as he watched the bids climb higher and higher. The Amazon's fate was being decided by a room full of greedy traders who saw her as nothing more than a commodity. Without thinking, he raised his hand and shouted, 50,000 credits! The room fell silent. 50,000 credits was a small fortune, far more than anyone had expected to pay for a single warrior. The auctioneer's tentacles quivered with excitement as he slammed his gavel. Sold! To the Earthling. Elias barely had time to process what he'd done before he was ushered to a private chamber to complete the transaction. The Amazon was brought in, her chains clinking ominously. Up close, she was even more imposing, her presence radiating power and danger. "What is your name?" Elias asked, trying to sound confident. The Amazon glared at him. "I am Kaelara of the Valkyrian Amazons. And you have made a grave mistake, Earthling." Elias swallowed hard. "I didn't buy you to enslave you. I want to set you free." Kaelara's golden eyes narrowed. "Free? Do you think I can simply return to my people after being paraded around like a common slave? My honor is tainted. I have no home." Elias hesitated. He hadn't considered that. "Then let me help you regain your honor. I've heard stories of the Valkyrian Amazons. Your warriors, protectors. Let me help you find a new purpose." Kaelara studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well, Earthling. But know this. If you betray me, I will not hesitate to kill you." Elias gulped but managed a weak smile. "Fair enough." Over the next few weeks, Elias and Kaelara traveled together, forming an unlikely partnership. Elias learned that Kaelara's people had been decimated by a ruthless warlord named Zorvak, who sought to conquer the galaxy. The Valkyrian Amazons had fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Kaelara was the last of her kind, her tribe wiped out in a brutal battle. Elias, who had always been more of a dreamer than a fighter, found himself inspired by Kaelara's resilience. He began to train with her, learning the basics of combat and survival. Though he was no match for her skill, he earned her respect through his determination and willingness to learn. One evening, as they camped under the stars of a distant planet, Kaelara turned to Elias. "Why did you buy me, Earthling? You could have spent your credits on anything." "Why me?" Elias sighed. "I guess I saw something in you that I've always wanted for myself. Courage, strength, purpose. I've spent my life drifting, never really knowing what I was meant to do. But when I saw you, I knew I had to help you. Maybe I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself." Kaelara nodded, a rare smile touching her lips. "You are a strange creature, Elias Carter. But perhaps there is hope for you yet." Their journey took them to the outer rim of the galaxy, where Zorvak's forces were rumored to be amassing for another conquest. Kaelara was determined to confront the warlord and avenge her people, even if it meant certain death. Elias, though terrified, refused to let her go alone. The battle was fierce. Zorvak's army was vast, but Kaelara fought with the fury of 1,000 warriors, her blade cutting through enemies like a scythe through wheat. Elias, armed with a blaster and a makeshift shield, did his best to keep up, his heart pounding with every shot fired. Finally, they reached Zorvak's command ship. The warlord himself awaited them, a towering figure clad in dark armor. "So, the last Valkyrian Amazon comes to die," he sneered. "And she brings a pet Earthling with her. How quaint." Kaelara didn't respond. She charged, her blade clashing against Zorvak's with a deafening roar. The two warriors fought with unmatched ferocity, their movements a blur of steel and fury. Elias watched in awe, knowing he could never hope to match their skill. But as the battle raged on, it became clear that Zorvak was gaining the upper hand. Kaelara was tiring, her movements slowing. Desperate, Elias grabbed a fallen soldier's grenade and hurled it at Zorvak's feet. The explosion sent the warlord stumbling, giving Kaelara the opening she needed. With a final powerful strike, she plunged her blade into Zorvak's heart. The warlord fell, his empire crumbling with him. Kaelara stood over his body, breathing heavily. She turned to Elias, her golden eyes filled with gratitude. "You saved my life, Earthling." Elias shook his head. "No, Kaelara. You saved mine. You gave me a purpose, something to fight for. I'll never forget that." With Zorvak defeated, Kaelara's honor was restored. She decided to rebuild her people, gathering the scattered remnants of the Valkyrian Amazons and forging a new future. Elias, though he knew he could never truly be one of them, stayed by her side, helping to train new warriors and protect the innocent. Years passed, and the legend of the Earthling and the warrior Amazon spread across the galaxy. Together they had changed the course of history, proving that even the most unlikely heroes could make a difference. One day, as they stood on a hill overlooking the thriving Amazon settlement, Kaelara turned to Elias. "You have done more for me than I could ever repay, Elias Carter. You gave me back my life, my purpose. And for that, I will always be grateful." Elias smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "I think we saved each other, Kaelara, and I wouldn't have it any other way." As the sun set on the horizon, casting a golden glow over the land, Elias knew that his journey was far from over. But with Kaelara by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together they had changed their fates and the fate of the galaxy forever.